The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
How are you feeling? How is your World Cup hangover? I certainly do feel as if I've got a bit of a hangover today with not much in the way of alcohol involved. Scotland's time at the World Cup, well, let's be honest with each other, it's surely over. We're looking at all sorts of permutations and groups and games and wondering if there's any way that Stevie Clarke and his team can scrape into the last 32. But that South Africa win against South Korea didn't help in the early hours of the morning. And surely it's too big an ask for Scotland to get a helping hand into the last portion of this tournament. And they're going to be kicking around for a couple of days before they inevitably head homeward. It did seem easier to get through than to drop out of the World Cup the way it's been set up this time around. What are you thinking on the back of 3-0 last night? That resounding defeat at the hands of Brazil on the back of losing to Morocco and that solitary win against Haiti by a goal to nil. It's not going to be enough. 0808 17 17 700 if you want to join in the football conversation with us. Have your say about what you're thinking about Scotland. Do we need to look a bit deeper beyond Stevie Clarke and the Scotland team into what is wrong with Scottish football? We were looking forward to McTominay, McGinn and all the rest showing their wares on the big stage, the greatest football show on earth, but it never really happened for us. And barring the technicalities, Scotland are surely on their way back home. It's Rob MacLean and it's Peter Grant with what might pan out as, Peter, maybe a 1-hour therapy session on the show.
For you, for me.
For all of us, I think, because it was a miserable watch, wasn't it, last night?
Yes, it was. Disappointing is probably the way you'd probably put the three games. The results have probably went the way we felt. We've always felt that you could beat Haiti, and that was no disrespect, even though they've got some players that's played in the Premier League as well, and I'm always respectful of that because I don't think there is easy games. There's always a difficulty somewhere along the line, but they managed to go over the line without playing well. Morocco, terrible start, never really got a foothold in the game after that to probably the last 10-15 minutes. And then in the Brazil game, started the game slowly but kept possession of the ball a few times in their own half without causing any problems, then making an error, you know. And I know Scott McKenna's getting a hell of a lot of stick, and for sure, he's the main culprit. But I think if Andy Robertson drops a little bit deeper on the left-hand side, he makes that pass easier for him. Because Rayan, the big right-sided winger of Brazil, had cut the pass off further up the pitch. So if he drops 5 yards, it makes that pass a little bit easier, but also draws out the Brazilian defender, which leaves the area that McKenna can hit then. So there's all these situations. And it was a terrible start, and that's one team you don't want to give a start to, is Brazil, because they've got some wonderful players. But as the boys rightfully said prior to it, it's not the Brazil of old.
No.
We're talking about they're a good side.
Do we make them look better than they are,
Yeah.
the current Brazil?
Well, for sure. Do I see them winning it? No. If I'm looking at the teams that's there, I look at, you talk at Brazil, you think, okay, they're going to go all the way because they've got this, that, and the next thing. I look at France and I think they're well ahead of them. I look at Spain, I think they're well ahead of them. All these guys. And I know cup ties are completely different in a one-off game, but I look at them and I'm thinking, who's excited me the most? You know, it's probably France with Alexia Elise and that playing. They look as if they're going to hurt you. But you look at Norway in a different sort of level. You're talking about our level, the way they even play. With the likes of Haaland up front, but the way their team play in general, they play a Norway way, if you know what I mean. Don't try and be Brazil, they don't try and be Spain.
Yeah.
You know, and they make the games competitive. They're always in the game. You think they're going to create something, and I've not seen that from Scotland.
Let's be honest, it was a tough group. It was a tough draw, wasn't it? When you draw Brazil and Morocco, and in the course of the competition, they've both gone up to, I think, 5th and 6th in the world. And as you say, Haiti have got some, when you look at their clubs, they do have some decent players. What was it reasonable to expect going into the tournament against those three, and what have we come out with?
I think the way it was, the tournament set up, we thought we had an opportunity to go through because it's nearly harder to go out, if you understand what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah.
Because I definitely thought we were going to do really well to get something from Morocco, even though I fancied that. For some reason, I fancied us to beat Morocco, even though I think they're a top quality side. That didn't work out that way. We gave them yet again a start. And after that, it was probably late in the game that we showed any. I would wish we play like Scotland and what Scotland's expected to do. Go a wee bit more aggressive in the way we play forward a little bit more. We've got John McGinn. People always talk about how the team played. I've never seen John, in all the games I've seen him, playing on the left-hand side and doing anywhere near as well as he does that, instead of that inside right position on his left foot. Once you see him last night, he's in that inside position, puts a great delivery into the box that we should actually score off a header.
Yeah.
And it was at one time that him and Doak had switched over, but it was only for a couple of minutes. And I'm thinking, oh, keep him there, Steve. That's his best position. In my head, I'm saying to myself.
And what about Gannon Doak on the left? Does that work? Does that work?
Yeah, but also because it will, because even if he runs inside, you've got Andy Robertson, whose strength when he's at Liverpool is to go up the outside.
Yeah.
You know, so that works. You know, John, I've never seen John being as effectual on the left-hand side. And I think that happened at Villa as well, if I'm correct. That John was played on a certain side with Steven Gerrard in a different position with Steven Gerrard. The manager comes in and says, where's your best position? I'm going to see you how you play with Scotland. And it was near enough him and McTominay behind a striker where he played. And that's what John was reverted to. And his game come right back. And I think it's unfair on John. You know, not playing in the position that it's your strength, because he steps in that left foot. He can hit the ball like a bomb. He's got unbelievable delivery, whipping balls in the box. Yeah. And I said it last night, we could have Mbappe up front. We're criticising centre forwards, but we could have Mbappe, and he wouldn't get a chance for us because nothing comes in the box.
I'd be happy to give that one a go, though, to be honest. But you say unfair to John McGinn, but surely from Stevie Clarke's own point of view, he wants Scotland at their most effective, and for you that would be with John McGinn playing down the right side.
For sure. But in that one, Rob, that he doesn't need to worry being right back. That's why I think the Scottish team, people talk about playing a back three. I think the Scottish team is built on a back three because of the personnel they have, but it also brings the best out in them. And I think it's the most attacking system we have, playing the back three. I think a back three is an attacking system, especially with the personnel we have. You could Andy Robertson going forward, who I don't think is a great defender, but gets forward fantastically well, as you see with Liverpool, and putting fantastic balls in the box. Kieran Tierney can do the exact same. They two had built up a relationship, one going over and one going in. It's fantastic. You were getting balls coming in. It allows you to play two strikers, or it allows you to play McGinn and McTominay behind that striker and releasing it to get in the box for crosses. And they're brilliant at that.
So why would you throw that away if you've established that works really well?
I don't know, because that was the thing I was wondering what Stevie's learnt when he said about the competitions. He's come out and said that he's learnt from the last competitions. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I'm scratching my head and saying, well, what have we learnt? You know, because... And hopefully they don't take it the way I'm going to say it here, but I'm not being disrespectful to a Scott McTominay and a John McGinn. Their game's not about coming and getting the ball off the centre-backs. They like to be facing the opposition when balls are coming back, or intercepting forward passes for the opposition, intercepting and running forward and having that freedom to do that. That's when they're at their best. You know, Scott will receive the ball maybe and take 3 touches to turn. But other what I would call natural midfield players, they'll turn on that first touch because they're already facing. They don't even need to turn because they're already in that position, they're facing forward. So all these things, to play them in their strength. And as I said, that one incident, even with John putting the ball in last night, that's the area of the pitch you should be affecting. And that's what I'm saying. So get Andy Robertson running up and down the side of the pitch. Whoever it is, Hickey, Patterson, 2 of them you say is fantastic legs to get forward and can cross great balls in the box. Get them doing that. Allow John and Scott McTominay to go and, whether it's Lawrence Shankland, because I think he's the most natural finisher, to get and support Lawrence Shankland. Then you've got 2 midfield players still behind that. You've still got 3 defenders still behind that. You can allow even one of the 2 midfielders to go and support it, because Lewis Ferguson, by a country mile, has been the best player, because he had a big balance round about him, playing to position well. So he could play there even his loan. Even if you played Christie with him, Christie's got a goal in him, so you could release him to go and get in the box. But then these boys know they've got a job to do against it, but it allows me to go and press the opposition higher up the pitch. I just think, for me, I look at it and I've just seen the same as again, you know, and that's been disappointing for everybody, because the Tartan Army's been brilliant. They've been magnificent, and you look at it, right, go on, give us the same thing on the pitch, and I've just not seen that. And I know Steve will say we made mistakes for sure, but one mistake in a game that cost you, but at least we're under that severe pressure, Rob. I've never seen us last night. Scott McTominay 3 chances late in the game. But that's when the shackles are all off and we're putting balls in the box and Kieran Tierney 3 crosses in the box. All the things that I think Scotland are good at, we don't do it till the game's near enough dead, gone. We've lost it. That's when we start to do what Scotland are good at and this group of players are good at. They've been magnificent at what they've done. Talk about Denmark and all that, yes. But we play with the shackles off in these. And it's only when the shackles are off, whether it's 10 minutes against Morocco, whether it's 10 minutes against Brazil. That's nowhere near good enough to stay in competition football.
Here's Stevie Clark talking about the game.
Disappointing performance. Poor result. You give a team like Brazil the chances that we give them the game, you expect to get punished, and that's what happened. Chances at the moment, I think we're probably going home.
Yeah, and he's probably right. So, did you see square pegs in round holes last night? Was the setup of the team wrong for you?
Well, I've said it from the start, Rob. I'd have a back three.
Yeah.
I would have a back three. I don't care because this team's better in a back three because it allows them more freedom to get forward. It sounds crazy because I don't think we've got good enough centre halves who can play as a pair. Jack Henry never picks up. Grant Hanley's better because obviously I think he's better in a three because he needs people round about him now at the age he's at. Jack Henry never always wants to be spare in the box. You can't do that. In a three, you get away with it sometimes. Andy Robertson likes to run forward. So the distance between the left-sided centre-back, say, and the left-back is massive. But when you're a back three, that becomes a little bit smaller. There's a better balance to it. You're defending probably the width of the 18-yard box and if you do it properly. But it allows Andy Robertson, Hickey, say, on one side, or Patterson on the other side, to get down the side of the pitch. It allows you to release John McGinn and Scott McTominay and play them further up the pitch where they're better and more effectual. Then it still allows you 2 central midfield players, whether you want 2 defensive. Yes, we've missed Billy Gilmore passing the ball and whatever, but Kenny MacLean can do that. Ryan Christie can do that along with Ferguson. Yeah. So they could do that. But then for me, that looks as if I've got players playing where they want to be playing. Yeah. When I look at the team with John, as soon as I see John McGinn line up on the left-hand side, I just think that's a mistake right away.
Let's go to the phone lines, 0808 17 17 700, if you want to have your say on Scotland at the World Cup. Brian is with us. Hi, Brian.
Hi, lads.
Hi, Brian.
What are you thinking? What sort of state of despair are you in today?
I'm actually no surprised. Unfortunately, I never bet it, but that was my prediction last night, 3-0.
Right.
We do all the hard work getting to these tournaments. Then we get there, and I don't know. Clark changes the tactics, and then the players' form seems to drop off dramatically. I don't know if it's the fear of getting there, and even his decisions. Clark, Tierney come on, and he seemed to be the guy getting crosses in, and I don't know why he didn't start. Poor. It's just we seem to have lost. Of course, I've never done anything in a tournament, but previous tournaments have actually played better, scored goals, got shots on target. That's probably the most galling thing. Yeah. The lack of shots on target.
Yeah, whatever you do tactically and technically with the team, you want your best players playing, don't you? And Tierney's sitting on the bench for the first half.
Well, when I was there with Big Alex, it was always a question that was through to us, and I used to answer it with one thing: they're 2 of your best players. You need to get them in the team. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. So whether that's playing one at left back, one in front, I didn't think they would naturally play one in front, which they did in the game previous. Mm-hmm. I just think
that didn't look so comfortable, did it?
No, it didn't. And I just think it's always one with Kieran playing the left centre back because many times have you seen him overlap Andy even in that position, and they had a good understanding in that position. But it allows Andy to have that freedom which he wants to do, who's got more natural at being further up the pitch and is not good at getting that positional on the back post defending where I think Kieran is. Kieran's good in the air. So you've got a great balance there. And even with Scott McKenna, a natural left footer, very quick. So you can still get away with him there. Even centrally, you can say, well, they'll put Grant Hanley in the middle of it because he's very good in the air and very dominant when he's got people round about him. And I just find it strange. And sometimes as a manager, I've been there, you get sucked into listening to everybody about this back three being defensive. For me, it's the complete opposite for Scotland. Yeah. It's an attacking system.
It's how you use it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's an attacking system. And I just feel to play players in their best position with that freedom. McTominay and McGinn are better being on the front foot. There is absolutely no doubt in that. Wherever they play, they're better being on the front foot. Robertson's better going forward. I say Hickey and that going forward. So then you've still, as I say, got that balance behind it. You've got Ferguson, who's good at it and has been brilliant. But you're saying whoever plays along with him, whether it's a Kenny MacLean, Billy Gilmore when he's fully fit, Ryan Christie, you've still got a balance there. But you've still, it's a system that I feel is very comfortable for these guys to play in. but it also allows the guys on the pitch to be playing in positions they're much more comfortable. Brian's right there. Kieran Tierney comes on and has 3-4 crosses.
Yeah.
That's when Scotland look at their best.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about Norway. Norway go and play as Norway. We go there and we think, I don't know what we are. I'm looking at the game last night, I'm saying, what are we doing? Are we playing? Are we going long?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
There's no identity.
No, that's what I'm saying. And Norway has got an identity.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about Brazil or Spain.
No.
Norway's got an identity.
A team that we can
We
compare
call similar.
ourselves
Yes,
with.
that's what I'm trying to say. And at this moment in time, with the group of players we have, I think the three would suit them, which allows our best players to be in. It allows what Brian's exactly saying. They're putting crosses in the box.
Yeah.
To give then your strikers that get a hell of a lot of criticism. But as I said earlier about Mbappe playing for us, but I bet you they would have more chances if we put crosses in the box, and the Lawrence Shanklins and whoever, the Hursts and the Dykeses and all that would love more crosses in the box.
Yeah.
Because that's when Scotland are at their best, and that's when strikers will thrive. That's where you get opportunities to score goals. And listen, I genuinely believe, see, even if we lost doing that, I think there'd been acceptance, because people would be saying, at least we had a go trying to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I would think.
So Brian, the scoreline didn't surprise you, obviously 3-0 Brazil, but I guess the fact that we gifted the 3 goals to a team that probably didn't need any help makes it more painful, doesn't it?
Of course, I mean the defence was our best part of the team the first 2 games. So why change it? I mean, McManus, he came back. No, McManus, sorry.
McKenna.
Sorry. I mean, he came back. He was obviously injured. And he looked ring rusty. I mean, it was like, why change it? The defence has been pretty good.
That's a fair point.
And it's just that the lack of shots. I find that galling. You've just got to go to these tournaments and actually have a go. There's no point to fans. I mean, just going to all these games. We play really well in the qualifiers. We play out our skin, and these players are playing well. Get the tournaments. The form goes out the window. And as for Robertson, I think that guy is the most overrated player ever. He's classed as great. He's far from it.
Does mentality have anything to do with it, Peter, when Scotland get to a tournament? I mean, that's 3 now we've been to, and 3 we haven't delivered at.
I wouldn't say that, because I think that's one of John McGinn's biggest strengths. I think it's one of Scott McTominay's biggest strengths. And talking about these guys, because I'd worked with them for a short period of time, I'd say that's a massive strength of theirs. Yeah. And I'd also say the fact is, you've got to look, these boys are playing in the Serie A, they're playing in the Premier League in England, they're playing for a Celtic or a Rangers,
Sure.
They're all playing.
So could it be a collective thing then?
Yeah, but again, Rob, I just think this team need to play in a certain system to get the best from them. I just don't think we do that. I mean, we're all crying out for Ben Doak. I love Ben Doak. But at this moment in time, I don't think the team's ready for him. Because I'm watching Ben Doak, and exactly what I thought would happen last night. Ben Doak was 30 yards from his own goal when he was picking the ball up, and then he was getting tackled. 30 yards for our goal.
Yeah.
If you're playing Ben Doak, you maybe need to say to him, listen, see when their fullback runs forward, you just stay. Cheat. Because when we get the ball, he's got to think about you then. You'd maybe need to come up with a tactic like that to get him on your side. You can't have him running 80 yards once he's won possession back to try and create you something. It's impossible. And that's why I think wing backs at this moment in time for Scotland, you maybe play Ben Doak in as a number 10, one of the 2 behind the striker. You may play him in there because he's got that quick feet and can go by people. So he's an area of the pitch he could be used in, could be in there. Something like that, But I just feel as if the balance of the team, once we've went to the competitions, for me, as you say, is it what, square pegs and round holes? That's the way it looks for me. I don't think we're playing the players in the best positions that suit them. People say, Scott McTominay played behind the striker. Yeah, he did, but he was outside left. He was at left back. No, play in that area of the pitch. John will cover one side, you cover the other side, you go and support. You've got to have a balance to it.
But we're not talking about new players coming in as well. This has been this is a long-term situation, isn't it? I mean, you could talk about Ben Gannon Doak as being relatively new to the international team, so you could be excused for working out where to play him, how he fits in best to the team. But when you're talking about McGinn and McTominay and Tierney and Robertson and players like that, they've been around for a long, long time. So should we really still be scratching our heads about how it all goes together as a jigsaw puzzle?
Well, I don't think you should, because it's the same manager. He knows the personality of the players. So I don't think you should. For me personally, just working with him the period of time I've seen him watch a hell of a lot of football, and I watch a hell of a lot of football and watch these guys playing week in, week out. I can work out I think over the experiences I've gained, I think I can work out where their best position and where I see them playing their best games because I've seen them often enough.
Yeah.
I know that. And Stevie maybe say, oh, well, I've done that for a tactical reason to do it. That's fine. I've no problem with that. But when I see it consistently, when I said to you the other night there, prior to the Morocco game, when I see John McGinn on the left-hand side of the pitch, I scratch my head. Because I want John to be stepping in and going having a smash at the goal. Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
He puts great...
Quick comment, lad.
Yeah, of course, Brian, yeah.
I mean, see, even it reminds me of even like the last Euros when James Forrest had a great end to the season. He brings him there and doesn't give him a minute. And even Finlay Curtis, I'm a Celtic fan as well, but Finlay Curtis, I mean, that boy should have started certainly at full games, not just coming on. I mean, I don't even think he came on against Brazil, did he?
Aye, come on later on. Yeah, come on later on. But
Yeah.
I agree with Brian in that respect because Finlay Curtis, I would rather have Finlay Curtis out there, no matter how much experience John McGinn's got. I'd rather have Finlay Curtis playing the left-hand side.
Because he's more comfortable there.
Yeah, that's more natural for him.
Yeah.
John wants to come in and steamroll and run and be positive in everything he does and go and get a shot at the goal or go and press the opposition. I always feel as if that's not the case when he plays out there. He can't do that. John's crossing from left to left, playing left to left, you know, and there's nobody in the box to play off. He's got predominantly most of his passes are back the way when he plays that side. When he plays the opposite side, it's the complete opposite. Most of his passes are forward. Yeah. Because it's on his natural left side. He's stepped in, he's either shooting or, as I say, he's passing forward because he's more naturally doing that. That's me. And I love left footers playing on the left-hand side. I hope the next Pep Guardiola, I said it a couple of weeks ago, that comes in, the next guru of football, brings back right wingers and left wingers on their natural side. Yeah. You know, because I'm a big crier-outer for that. But John's situation is a big effect for Scotland. Look at the amount of goals he scored. Let me tell you, I'd like to see how many goals he scored when he's playing on the left-hand side compared to what he is. Yeah. On any other position. Yeah.
Brian, are we kidding ourselves on by thinking there's any way Scotland are staying at the World Cup?
I mean, I think we failed to what, 8th, I think, 9th, 10th.
I think 7th, maybe 7th of 8 off the back of the early hours games. But I think we're down to about 25% chance now, according to the
because there's a lot of the teams have still got a game to play. Yeah.
So I think we need too many pieces to fall into place. That's probably unrealistic, and maybe we should just right now get used to the thought of Scotland coming home and not holding out for a miracle.
But the thing is, there's teams that sit in third, like your Belgium and a few others. I mean, these teams are going to win their games, so they're going to be replaced by other teams. So I've no studied it enough to analyse it, but in a way, my glass is always half empty, and in a way, I think we should just chuck it.
Yeah, I think that probably sums up from my point of view as well. Brian, good to have you on the show.
Cheers, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
all
Brian.
the best. Cheers. 0808 17 17 700, and we're back on the phone lines after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Well, it certainly wasn't Miami nice last night, was it? It wasn't a good watch. Scotland being taken apart by Brazil. 3-0 it finished. But of course, much of the damage was self-inflicted. And we are clutching at straws, I feel, as we look around the other groups and hope for other teams to do us a favour and extend our stay at the World Cup. And it seems fairly certain that over the next couple of days, it will be an arithmetical certainty that Scotland can't go any further. They won't make the 8 best third places in the groups. And despite it seeming more difficult to get thrown out than to stay in, Scotland's World Cup seems to be over. Rob MacLean, Peter Grant here, and we've got Laurie on the line. Hi, Laurie.
Rob, good evening. Good evening, Peter.
Evening, Laurie.
I'll tell you my thoughts this evening, guys. Yes. The last time I was in a programme prior to Scotland going to North America, I was speaking to Paul Cooney and Andy Walker, and they'd asked what my thoughts were on the tournament, and I had said to them, I'd referenced an infamous joke by Jimmy Tarbuck when he said many, many years ago that Scotland always seemed to be the first team home before the postcards arrived. And I told the guys, I suspect that will be the case once again.
You weren't far wrong.
No, well, Andy had said to me, he said, Laurie, he says, you're not much of an optimist. I says, well, Andy, I says, I'm afraid, I says, experiences have taught me to be more of a realist than an optimist. Here's what I don't get. The night we beat Denmark 4-2, the team played with unbridled passion, uninhibited, without restraint. They set the place on fire. Fantastic performance, the best in many years, recording, of course, that 4-2 victory. Fast forward to the World Cup, and I knew this would happen because Steve Clarke always reverts to type when he gets to the tournaments proper. He is, by nature, intrinsically and instinctively, a cautious individual. He's not given to risk-taking. He's unadventurous. The mantra that there seemed to be before the tournament started was that if we beat Haiti, the 3 points against them should be sufficient to progress to the last 32, irrespective of the outcome of the matches against Morocco and Brazil. That appeared to be the prevailing wisdom. And I remember watching the Haiti game, and when we scored that goal, albeit by a wicked deflection, I knew then that they were going to show up short because they would consider that mission accomplished with the 3 points. Anything else we take as a bonus from the next two matches. Now, here's the thing. In 3 games, we recorded a total of 7 shots. Just think about that for a moment. 4.5 hours football, 7 shots. None on target against Morocco. 2 against lowly Haiti, the lowest ranked team in the tournament. When Brazil went 2 goals up, they started to come to life. Too little, too late. They managed to get 5 shots on target during the entirety of that game. Now, there is a saying, Peter, that fortune favours the brave. Never saw any of that. And the saddest thing for me is, number one, I felt that they let down the shortchanged the amazing Tartan Army. They were entitled to better, having spent thousands and thousands of pounds to get there. And when they return, whenever that's to be, from this tournament, I just wonder if that squad of players were sitting saying to themselves, you know, we could have done so much more, but they were acting under instruction. They weren't permitted to leave everything on the pitch. And my last thought, and then of course you guys can respond, is that Haiti last night had a go. They lost 4-2 against Morocco. They, by comparison, left nothing on the pitch. Your thoughts, guys?
Well, there's not much I can disagree with on that, Laurie, to be perfectly honest with you. Stevie said it himself, he's pragmatic. That's what he's classed as. And I know he plays that now very, very well. You've seen the way he spoke after both games, which I don't think was correct and becoming of him, because I know that's not probably his character. But
the flash interviews?
Yeah, I thought that was really poor, to be fair. It was disrespectful. And that's not the character he is normally. So there was frustration there. But I think the frustration for me is, and Laurie's touched on it, he talked about it before he went, they'd learnt over the last 2 competitions, I think it was, he said. They learnt, and you'd heard the players saying that the manager was more relaxed and whatever, and they had more time down and whatever. And I can understand that when you're a new manager into tournament football, so I can understand all the things prior to that. And Stevie's had a hell of a lot of experience at club football, all these things. But I agree with Laurie 100%. That's what I'm talking about. And I keep saying Norway. I'm not talking about the top teams, France, Brazil, because we've not got that quality. We go and play like Scotland. And I think the game against Denmark, that's what we played like. You know, and Scotland's always had a habit of doing it, don't get me wrong, even with top quality players. Remember Archie Gemmell's goal against Holland, all these sort of things. So when we've been having to fight against it, we've always produced a performance. I've not seen that. You go to the Hungary in the last tournament, you see Brazil last night, even Morocco to an extent. I don't see that. Laurie touched on the first game was, let's win this, let's not give anything away, as long as we get 3 points. Yeah, I understand that part of it. But then you've got to say then, we've seen Morocco and Brazil, we've got to do something, because I always felt you would have to do something in their games anyway, but we left it too long.
Peter, you touched on that flash interview, which was pretty uncomfortable listening or viewing, depending how you monitored it at the time. Stevie Clarke, I don't think he expanded later on what he'd said in that brief little interview, which was obviously just shooting from the hip and saying that he was almost given the impression that there'd been a breakdown in communication between how he wanted to play and how his players delivered it. It was almost...
No, listen, I can imagine as a manager you'll think, well, I've set up a certain way and we've made a mistake for the first goal.
But even aside from mistakes, which have cost us.
Rob, but I think you should be more looking at, Laurie talked about it, the last few efforts came from mostly Scott McTominay. Would I be right on that, Laurie? Maybe he'd 3 the efforts.
Yeah.
So, I think you're correct.
So he did 3 efforts.
Yeah, he had a header and a couple of stabbed shots.
What am I saying earlier? That's when he's at his best.
Yes.
When he's running in the opposition box for crosses or whatever, he'll go on, and it drops, even if it's not him, and it drops down the box, he ends up getting his foot on it. That's him at his best. That's when John McGinn's at their best. Kieran Tierney comes on and starts delivering balls in the box. That's when Scotland are at their best.
Yeah.
And that's why I think at this moment in time they have to play wing backs. Because the Robertsons and that, if they're still playing, that's where they're at their best, going and putting crosses in the box. But it allows the other boys, McTominay and McGinn, to play to their strengths. Why has 2 midfielders like that scored so many goals for Scotland?
Yeah.
And it's came in games like they've just been gung-ho.
Yeah.
I just feel as if we'd hope we win.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, let's go and have a go to win. And I would rather not be beat. And I just think that's a very, very difficult game to be. But we're starting to see that consistently. And that's not comfortable for us to sit with this group of players. It's not comfortable that you wait till you've got 10 minutes left and you see how I would say Scotland need to play.
Yeah.
Put balls in the box, get the ball forward a little bit quicker. And I don't mean just humping the ball up the pitch. Of course, you've got to do it with a bit of thought. But when you've got to play forward, you've got to play forward. When you've got to put a cross in, as Kieran Tierney went by, cross, he never even looked for a player. But the many corners would we get out it because they were missing the ball and putting it by for a corner, whatever. For me, that's then when Scotland are at their best, because then you can use your set plays, then you can do X, Y and Z. But it means that they players are playing, for me, at their best because that's where they're more comfortable getting in the box and doing all the things instead of getting on the box and trying to be Pirlo, where that's not their game.
No. Laurie, can Stevie Clarke point to the basic mistakes that were made, that cheap goal that was lost early on against Morocco, the obvious howlers that were made last night, which kind of gifted Brazil goals? I mean, however he plans to play, is he not just tearing his hair out if he had any, but tearing up his script as well for how he wants to go about things when he can't really legislate, can he, for mistakes that were of that level?
I get that, Rob, and those who are looking to present a case for Stevie Clarke will put that forward in mitigation. But I think myself, speaking euphemistically, Rob, Stevie Clarke has always struck me as a guy who is so serious. I can imagine if he was a boy, he'd go for his Halloween dress up as a paramedic.
Was that a Jimmy Tarbuck one as well?
No, that's my own.
No, but listen, I understand that. And listen, and I know that's his personality plays on that now as well. But you've got to remember the coaches he's worked with, top quality coaches he's worked under, some of their personalities, their Mourinho's and all that. There's nobody beat. He built a team, Mourinho, when he went to Chelsea at first, if you remember, the back four and that, when the MacLean became a new role. Role's been there for 100 years. But he was sort of built it as if we'd defend with 5 with no overlapping fullbacks. So he built that. And Stevie's seen all that getting built, that jigsaw getting built. And it was very, very successful. So you always go with certain traits when you're being successful. But this Scottish team, when I felt, and I was really excited, I'm like everybody else, I was really excited about this World Cup because I thought this was a fantastic opportunity for us. Because Stevie had said that he'd learnt for the last 2. And that was the thing that was exciting me, because I thought, well, he's maybe not going to be what he calls himself pragmatic. He's going to allow the shackles off McGinn's and McTominay's and play them in areas that they can affect the game. And I didn't see that. And that was a concern for me. And I'm sure Stevie will explain it when, obviously, if we come back to the World Cup, he's going to have to explain. Well, he's going to have to explain it.
Yeah.
You know, what would he have done differently? And that'll be a disappointment for him, because he's had 2 tournaments to do that. And I think it was harder to get out this competition because there's so many bodies go through after it.
Yeah.
Even when you finish third, it's near impossible to get out.
Yeah.
You know, unless you've had a tanking somewhere along the line.
Here he is talking about the self-inflicted nature of last night's defeat.
I think so. Listen, we're playing a top quality team. We know they're deadly in the attacking third of the pitch. And we gave them, for sure, the first 2 goals. Probably the third goal as well. So we gave them the goals. But on the counter of that, they also missed a few chances, and Angus had to make a few good saves. So on that one, on us, was to try and create something second half. We got the ball in the box a number of times. We created one or two chances, but nothing really clean. When you look at Brazil's attacking play in the final third of the pitch, and you look at ours, there's really no comparison.
Are there any positives, Laurie, to pluck out of what seems like a pretty sad and sorry tale?
No, I'm sorry. I can't really think of anything positive. What I will say is this, that in the aftermath of the 4-2 win against Denmark, everybody in their ante was getting swept along in a tidal wave of euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
And Stevie Clark then had a 4-year extension, his contract. I would suggest to you, Rob, that in the cold light of day, when that plane hits the tarmac at Glasgow Airport or wherever they're landing, the people that made that decision will perhaps rue that decision.
What do you think, Peter?
No, the only thing I thought it was strange, because Steve had been making, obviously, it feel as if he wanted to get back to club football, that was going to be an opportunity, so he wanted to wait. I'm looking at the Derek McInnes situation now, because people were obviously putting him at the forefront as the next Scotland manager after coming second with Hearts. And they were talking about him being the Scotland manager. And the fact that Derek had agreed to go to Rangers, did that make a difference? Because maybe that was in the pipeline anyway before we knew. And maybe they were thinking to themselves, well, maybe make a decision now. Because if Derek McInnes goes to Rangers, the only other guy I would look at is, like say, David Moyes. Would David Moyes leave an Everton to come to Scotland? I don't think David would do that at this moment in time. So Stevie Clark's there at 4-year deal before a tournament. When people say I think it's as high as 95% of the managers lose their job after the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, it's as high as something like that. So I found it a bit bizarre it was going to be for that length of time. So the disappointing thing for me is, it'll be interesting to see what Steve says, because I'll look at the team and I think there should be a better balance to the group of players. And I keep going back to that. I think there's a bit, and Steve's seen that because he's picked them in areas of the pitch where they've affected the game.
There's a lot of really good players in that squad.
Yeah, but he's picked them in areas where they've been really successful.
Yeah.
But to go and put them in areas where they're not successful, because if I got you, for John McGinn, I keep mentioning John. If I mention John McGinn, I go and show you all his games on the left-hand side compared to all his games in that area of the pitch where I'm saying he's more effective. I bet you 95% would pick that position I'm telling you he'd play in. So I think Steve does it, because I'm sure his staff do a hell of a lot of work watching these groups of players playing for their clubs, obviously what they're doing for Scotland. Yes, of course, you've got to watch the opposition and see what you're playing and see what their strengths are. But if I was, as I said earlier, I'd have paid Finlay Curtis, or I'd have played Ben Doak out there instead of John McGinn and played John on the opposite side.
Laurie, thanks for your call.
Cheers, Laurie.
Good to hear from you.
Thank you.
You mentioned Derek McInnes there, and we'll be hearing from him after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Yeah, it's been a speedy hour with Rob MacLean and Peter Grant, Brian and Laurie with the calls, and we're just going to shift direction a little bit. We've been talking Scotland, getting ourselves even more depressed than we were watching it last night. But Derek McInnes has been speaking for the first time. Peter was talking about him as a prospective Scotland manager somewhere down the line. He has been spoken about in that regard quite a lot. But for now, his new job after piloting Hearts to a pretty serious title challenge last season, he is in charge at Rangers now, and he's been sitting down, answering questions, talking about his new job for the first time.
Yeah, obviously, very special moment. You know, I think for myself, my family, and there's a lot of people I can think of on a day like this. But obviously, having known the club for a long time, supported the club, you know, I'm well aware of the responsibility that being a manager brings. So excited to get going. I feel as though it's the right time for me, and I feel I'm ready for it. I feel as if I belong here, and I'm ready to get going with it, and looking forward to just getting started. As Jim said, you know, we just want to try and deliver a team that meets the demand here. You know, I feel as though the Rangers fans, with one title in 15 years or whatever, they've suffered for a long time, and it's up to us to try now and play a key role in driving the standards and get a winning Rangers team on the pitch more often than not. I've got an idea of what my Rangers team needs to look like, and hopefully it's something similar to what the Rangers fans want as well.
He mentioned Jim there, Jim Gillespie, the Rangers chief executive, who was making it pretty clear that the departure of Danny Rule to RB Salzburg was very much driven by the club.
Well, we gave Danny our backing in May, as you say. But things evolve over time. The decision for Danny to move on was our decision, Rangers Football Club's decision. Danny was contracted to Rangers and had no buyout, so ultimately we could have told Salzburg he wasn't for sale. But we decided that we wanted to bring Derek in, and that was a motivation to let Danny go and bring Derek in, because he was a man that we had already highlighted as a man to bring success to Rangers.
Nice to hear some straight talking from
Yeah, he's done a hell of a
Rangers.
lot of talking. I've listened to him. He's talking about Rangers are the #1 club in Scotland and that. And they've won one title in 15. That's like saying Leicester are the best team in England. You know what I mean?
What was he basing it on?
I don't know. A supporter, being a supporter.
Right.
I think that's the thing. He's got to be careful that, they get sucked in. And I think that was poor talking about Danny Role in that respect. I think you shouldn't really do that. The manager was in there. Rangers asked him to do the job. He went in there, done his best as he felt. It didn't work out for him in the respect of getting the results. He did at the start. But I think that was a cheap shot, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Like, whether Rangers wanted Derek or not, it doesn't matter. He didn't need to have a cheap shot.
Well, it's all happened and he's gone, so it didn't really need to be said, I guess.
Well, that means he was telling lies then at the end of the season. They were backing him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was unfair. I thought it was a cheap shot. Whether you wanted Derek or not, great. Say, listen, Danny, go. No problem. Out the door. I'm sure Danny Role's not went away without any money then, if that's the case.
No. But it's been good business by Rangers, because I think they got the best part of £2 million in compensation from Salzburg, so and paid considerably less than that for bringing Derek in. So most people would suggest that's an upgrade in terms of manager in the door, and they've actually made money out of it rather than it costing them.
Well, Derek knows exactly what Rangers are expected to do, is win trophies. And it doesn't matter whether you're a supporter or not, you've got to go there and deliver that now, and that's his job to do it. But I would rather do that without my chief executive coming away with quips like that, because it could be me further down the line in the respect to Derek further down the line, and Gillespie's probably spoke more than all the time I heard him at St Mirren, and they were very successful. So he's got to be careful. He's not got another one that's getting taken along with that supporters thing and telling everybody what the supporters what they want to hear. I think that's important. Let Derek do the talking now and let him talk about the football, because they asked him a question also about, would you go back to Hearts? And he jumps in and says, well, I can go back to Hearts. It's not about what he wants to do. It's about what the manager. And I think there's a place for the chief executive, and that's Derek's job to talk about the team.
Yeah.
And Derek's doing that, and he's 100% right. He's always wanted the Rangers job, going with what he said. He's got the job. He's done a hell of a lot of hard yards, Derek, in the respect to that. I don't agree with what he said at the end of the season. He's making out as if Celtic didn't deserve to win the league. I hear that often enough, and I think that was proven. They won more games than Hearts.
Yeah.
And I think Hearts bottled it, to be perfectly honest with you. So he's got to be careful on that. But I think he's got the job, and I think he'll do a fantastic job for Rangers the way they want him to do, because I think he knows about the club. He knows an expectation. It's a bit like Martin O'Neill knows what's expected at Celtic, knows you have to win. There is no second place in Scotland. When you're Celtic or Rangers, you have to be first or you're last.
Yeah, well, we will let Derek do the talking. Here's what he said on transfers, both in and out.
When the window closes, we've got to be as strong as we want to be. For all the reasons that we just mentioned about trying to win a league this season, we're not going to probably get everything we want, and it's no many clubs do. But it's important that the money we do have at our disposal, the budget we've got to work with, we use it well and wisely. And I'd like to think that we've got players in the building who are capable of a wee bit more as well, and it's up to me and the staff to get that out of them. So with all that in mind, there might be changes, players leaving, players coming in, but every player coming in will give us something. We're working hard currently to try and make sure we bring a level of player in that can deal with the expectation, but also give us that extra bit of quality that clearly we need. Last season was disappointing for the club, and something similar ain't going to get the job done, so there's work to be done.
Obviously, Lawrence Shankland, one of the first signings of the summer, so that's already done. You'd imagine there'll be quite a few departures, Peter. There's quite a lot of talk around Raskin, isn't there? There seems to, and he played pretty well for Belgium.
I would sell Raskin, but I would sell Raskin because I think he thinks he's a better player than what he has, and I think he's done that with two managers now. That he keeps telling him he's a number 6, and I know Barry, when Barry was convincing Barry, and Barry was trying to help him out in that respect. I watch him playing the role. I even watched him with Belgium. People say they watch him probably in possession of the ball, but if you watch his positional play, There's a massive gap when you're playing. You'd love to play against him if you're a centre forward or somebody at number 10, because there's so much space, because he just leaves it. So for me, if you could get top dollar for him, which I think they would now because he's a Belgian international player in the World Cup, if they can cash in now, I would definitely take it 100%. And I think there are players there that Rangers could go in. I know Lewis Ferguson, who would be a fantastic signing for Rangers, because I really like Lewis Ferguson. I said 3 years ago that Lewis Ferguson should have been at Celtic or Rangers at that particular time when he left Aberdeen. But I'm sure he'd still made the call to go to Bologna. I think he'd have still went to Italian football.
And there's been talk about Bologna for Raskin, which could almost be a swap deal.
Yeah, but I think Lewis Ferguson will have a lot more fish to fry, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's done exceptional in the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think he may want to stay abroad, as well. Don't get me wrong, maybe Rangers will be tugging at his heartstrings. I don't know. He was there as a kid, if people remember.
Yeah. He's maybe looking at things in a broader way. I mean, I imagine 4 years in Italy has broadened his mind. I mean, he's a smart lad.
I watch him play,
and I don't think he necessarily does the obvious thing as well.
But I watch him, and know what I like about him. Even I watch a lot. When his games are on, I watch them, because I want to see how he gets on, because he obviously speaks Italian and that now, but you can see him organising the players, and you can see it in the Scotland team. He's taking a leadership role in that. I know he's the captain of Bologna, but didn't play as often maybe last year under a new manager. But the leadership qualities, he's telling people if he's not happy or moving people in. He understands the game. He just doesn't play the game. That's the completely different scenario for Raskin for me. He plays the game. He just goes where he wants, what he thinks is right. Ferguson does it. He's a team player. That's the difference. And if Rangers get Lewis Ferguson, it'd be a fantastic sign for anybody to get Lewis Ferguson. I think would be a fantastic sign for him, because I think it's an all-round package you're getting for that area of the pitch, which is vital. Yeah. It's always been a vital. If you don't win that area of the pitch, you never win games of football. You don't win trophies. So that'd be vital for them. For somebody like Lewis Ferguson to come to Rangers as it's getting muted would have been an unbelievable signing.
Yeah, your point is a good one though, because the World Cup tends to do that, doesn't it? It throws a magnifying glass over players, and suddenly their price can go through the roof if they turn in a couple of good performances during the World Cup. Ross McCrory coming back to Rangers, it seems, for $1.5 million, which looks like good business from Bristol City. He's improved a lot since heading south. What about Celtic though? What is everything sorted, do you think, with the coaching staff, with Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham? And also there's just generally a lack of transfer activity, which is probably frustrating Celtic fans.
Yeah, but I just can't see there's been massive problems in the respect of, I don't think Martin would have re-signed. Martin's been in the game long enough. I've talked about that, the experience he's got. There's no way Martin O'Neill's signing to become Celtic manager if there's not certain guarantees there. For all we know, there could be 3 players sitting just waiting to be ticked off, for all we know. So it's always speculation at this moment in time.
And it could be waiting for these guys to go out of the World Cup.
Absolutely, but also the fact is, Rob, I don't see Martin for the life of me. Because I put myself in Martin's shoes. If it's me, well, I need these guarantees. I need this.
Yeah.
I know I need this changing the team. I know I need this changing the squad.
He's in a really strong position to
100%. 100%. I don't see him taking the job in the first place. One, if people going on about the backroom stuff, I know absolutely nothing about it. If the backroom stuff wasn't in place that Martin wanted, he wouldn't be taking the job. If the signings or the finances weren't going to be there to replace the guys that he wants to replace weren't there, Martin wouldn't take it. He's old and wise enough. It's not a young manager that's coming in and going to be bullied, I don't think. Martin would rather get away with the respect of what he'd done the last season, which, as I say, the statue should be built for just on that season alone. So I don't see it being a major problem. I think it's made it more of a major problem than sitting here worrying, because I can only take it as read that if Martin obtained the job, it'd be only on certain guarantees. That's the only way I would look at it from afar.
So Martin O'Neill in at Celtic, we await transfer activity, but so much to be sorted out over the next few weeks as we bring the show to a close. And just a matter of time, Peter, as we watch these games in the early hours of the morning, that will just drive the final nail into Scotland's time at the World Cup. It's really disappointing.
Rob, there's always hope, and that's what I'm hanging on at this moment in time. I'm hoping, above all hopes, that Scotland get an opportunity to stay in it. Because then I would, like everyone else, I would love to see a Scottish performance. That's what I would love to go along with what the Tartan Army's been like, because they've been unbelievable. Yeah. And if we could get a performance, okay, we've hiccuped, but if we could get a performance to go with that, with one more performance, I don't think that's going to happen. But we've got to tip our hats to the Tartan Army, who have been unbelievable. They've been a credit to the country.
Fantastic. Thanks, Peter.
Pleasure, Rob.
Paul back from Miami and here tomorrow at 5.